Check 1, 2. Checking audio 1, 2, 3, 4.
Are you ready? There's no volume online. Okay, maybe I'm. No volume. Oh, there it is. I lied. Okay. All right. Yep, we're good then.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order tonight. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Molly, if you could help us with the roll call, please.
Sure thing. Alderperson Henry.
Present.
Alderperson Schaefer.
Here.
Alderperson Valdy.
Here.
Alderperson Wilkin.
Here.
Alderperson Grimmer.
Here.
Alderperson Price.
Here.
And Alderperson Eicher is excused this evening. Mayor Atwell.
Present.
Administrator Hafner.
Here.
Okay, thank you very much. Move on to 4, approval of the following meeting minutes, October 2nd, 2023.
I move approval of the October 2nd meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, passes. Okay, City of Delafield citizens' comments. Come on up, Mary. Looks like you're the only one here tonight.
Good evening, everyone. This evening, I'd like to talk about new business, A, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance 882.
Mary, can you introduce yourself officially for the record?
Of course I can, Molly. Mary Daniel, 309 Wisconsin Avenue, here in Delafield. Thank you. So I'd like to talk about the letter from Mr. Hafner to the mayor and the common council from October 13th, which was Friday. Specifically, the last paragraph, which states the city staff will be doing final quality checking of property list for fire and EMS fee and fee amount for each property. My question to all of you is, what number was used when we prepared the referendum in April? And why are we doing a final quality check now? And will the quality check number being done by the city staff be cross-checked with the fire department information? I thought the property list came from the fire department, as they have to know what is in each building when they get a call for help, such as an apartment above a business or a construction site in a new development. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for the comments. Alrighty, seeing no further citizens' comments are now closed. Move on to 6, the consent agenda.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Great, we'll move on to number 7, board, committees, and commission reports. A, licenses, I see we have something there.
Hillside. Yes, we do. Under licenses, Hillside Cinema. The previous agent moved on to different employment. They're appointing a new agent who has already passed the police department background check, so they just need to be approved for formal appointment by the council.
I move to approve the new agent for license.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. All right, we'll move on to 7B, Planning Commission. Item 1, discussion of possible action regarding the following items. Ordinance number 818, an ordinance to amend sections of Article 1, of the City of Delafield zoning ordinance, including Section 52-16D, yard projections, and Section 52-21, street access requirements, and by amending the text of Article 3 of the City of Delafield zoning ordinance, including Section 52-89A through D, plans of operations. Tom, you want to touch on that briefly? In Tim's absence?
Yeah, if you'll recall, this was before the council previously, and Alderman Schaefer had some concerns with some easement widths that would have been required in the future. Those easement widths have been removed, and now it just requires that an easement exists that's acceptable to the fire department. So I believe, Alderman Schaefer, that's been communicated with you, and I think I heard that that works for you?
Yeah, I had some good communication from Amy, and I move to approve the amendments to ordinance 818.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
Thanks to Plan Commission
Good catch again,
for
Alderman Schaefer.
an excellent revision.
Okay, we'll move on to B1, St. John Estates subdivision, DLC 0792990 and DLC 0793997, Oakwood Drive. Owner, Hendricks Corporation Properties, LLC. Applicant, George Orwin III. Applicant is requesting approval of a final plat for a single-family conservation design subdivision known as St. John's Estates.
Good evening, George Irwin, 2600 North Mayfair Road.
You have to press the, now you're on.
One more
2600
time.
North Mayfair Road.
Thank you, George.
You're killing me, killing me.
Go ahead.
The,
Yeah, so.
you separately agended all these items. Go ahead, Tom, please.
Yeah, so before you this evening is a number of items related to the St. John's subdivision. As we go through them, you'll see that a number of them were previously approved by the Common Council, but there's been some minor tweaks made to them, which were identified in a memo from Attorney Van Clunen in your packet. But the first one we'll start off with is B1, which is approval of the final plat for St. John's Estates.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Move on to B2, DLC 0792990 and DLC 0793997, Oakwood Drive. Owner, Hendricks Commercial Properties, LLC. Applicant, George Orwin III. Applicant seeks approval of a stormwater maintenance agreement, which is inclusive of drainage easements for St. John's Estates. Mr. Hafner.
Yeah, this is one of those documents that was previously approved by the council in July. As I said, there was minor tweaks made to it, nothing of real substance, and so the recommendation is to approve the revised document.
I'll move to approve.
Stormwater
Second.
maintenance agreement. Yeah.
Stormwater maintenance agreement.
I'm sorry, who had the second? All right, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. All right, we'll move on to number 3, DLC 0792990 and DLC 0793997, Oakwood Drive. Owner, Hendricks Commercial Properties, LLC. Applicant, George Orwin III. Applicant seeks approval of a public access easement for St. John's Estates. Mr. Hafner.
Another one of the documents that was tweaked since the council's approval on July 17th. Looking at the memo in the packet, the tweaks were the legal description was updated to reflect the CSM's recent recording, and there were minor dimensional changes to the access easement area on Exhibit B in order to accurately reflect the easement area.
I'll move to approve the public access easement.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Okay, we are moving on to number 5, DLC 0792990 and DLC 0793997 Oakwood Drive. Owner Hendricks Commercial Properties LLC. Applicant George Orwin III. Applicant seeks approval of a storm sewer easement for St. John's Estates. Mr. Hefner,
Did we do the Riverwalk easement?
did I skip it?
We're on Riverwalk right now.
Yeah, you skipped number 4.
Oh, okay. Public access Riverwalk, okay. So we'll make this for number 4, the same DLCs. Applicant seeks approval of Riverwalk easement for St. John Estates.
All right, and again, this is for the Riverwalk easement, minor tweaks made since July 17th. There's a list of about 5 different tweaks that were made, the most substantial related to maintenance requirements, which are acceptable to the city staff.
I'll move to approve the Riverwalk easement.
Second?
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
That was Wilkin with the second, correct? Okay.
Okay, I'll try that again. Same DLCs as before. Storm water easement for St. John's Estates, number 5.
And this is a new document. This is the first time you're seeing this one, so a new approval. SEH has reviewed this document's exhibits for accuracy, and the recommendation is to approve.
Move to approve the stormwater easement.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. And lastly, same DLCs, same owner. Acknowledge modifications to the declarations of restrictions for St. John's Estates. Mr. Hefner.
And this one also was approved by the council on July 17th, and the recommendation would be to approve again with the tweaks made.
Move to remove declaration restrictions.
Second.
Discussion, though.
Yep.
Section, Article 6 for side entry garages and the Architectural Control Committee. Just, can you refresh my memory on who's a member of those, of the ACC? It's yourself? It's yourself?
A builder and an architect.
Okay.
To be named.
Okay. And are there any circumstances which 6.4 says side entry garage unless waived by the ACC? Are there circumstances?
There are circumstances. There are circumstances where it might not be practical because of side yard limitations, house design. That's mostly becomes then a courtyard type of the house itself is designed that way. But the preference is for side entrance. We don't want to be looking at garages, but we're open to high-end designs that may not necessarily just meet the definition of side entrance, but still attractive. That's really the theory behind it.
Okay, and I appreciate that, and you have high-end design, your builders are for the most part high-end. I have no reason to believe otherwise. I just know that those side entry garages are preferable to the city, and front entry, like you've said, is not preferable. That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
My God.
Thank you very much, George.
Start to finish from March. Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, George.
We'll see you Wednesday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to C, Divine Redeemer Lutheran Church Daycare Facility Development. You guys want to come on up? Number C1, DLC 0733994001, DLC 07339994, and DLC 073995. 31385 Hill Road, owner Divine Redeemer Lutheran Church. Applicant Matthew Maying. Applicant seeks approval of conditional use amendment and site plan and appearance review for a daycare facility. Want to give us your names and address?
Matthew Mehring, 2746 South 166th Street, New Berlin, Wisconsin.
Adam Wolf, 321 Parkside, Whitewater, Wisconsin.
You said it was Adam Wolf, like,
Wolf, yes, as in the animal.
Is there an E at the end or no E?
Yes.
All right, Tom, anything you want to add on that one?
No, just that Plan Commission did recommend approval of the conditional use and the site plan at their June 28th meeting.
Recommend, or make a motion to approve the site plan and review for item C1
And conditional use.
and conditional use.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Okay, we'll move on to C2, DLC 07339940001, DLC 0733994, DLC 0733995, 31385 Hill Road, owner Divine Redeemer Lutheran Church, applicant Matthew Mahig. Applicant seeks approval of developer's agreement for a daycare facility. Pretty straightforward, Tom?
Pretty straightforward. A lot of work went into getting this complete in time for this meeting over the past week or so, and city staff does recommend approval of the developer's agreement.
I'll move to approve the developer's agreement.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Okay, the last one for you guys is same DLCs, 31385 Hill Road, owner Divine Redeemer Lutheran Church. Applicant seeks approval of a water main and sanitary sewer easement for a daycare facility. Anything to add on that, Tom?
Pretty straightforward easement document that's been reviewed by our city engineer and surveyor. Everything looks good, and approval is recommended.
Move to approve the water main and sanitary sewer easement.
Second.
Oh,
I'm going to give it to Henry.
okay. All right, is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Well, we've been moving right along, folks. As fast as I can read, just about. Okay, C, Lake Welfare Committee. Mr. Price.
We did not meet this month.
Okay. Park and Rec. Mr. Schaefer.
Park and Rec, key item here is correspondence from the Village of Heartland. We've had a recreation agreement with them since 2003, where their Director of Park and Recs manages recreation programs, classes through the city. Some of them are held here in the fish hatchery. The majority of them are held over in Heartland facilities. And it's been a good relationship. They looked at their expenses and would like to modify the agreement. Currently, we pay the Village of Heartland $2,500 a year. We give them the use of the fish hatchery at no charge. And in return, they organize these programs, offer them to our residents at Heartland resident rates, which is about typically say a $60 fee for a class. Our residents would pay about $50, as an average. They send out catalogs 3 times a year to advertise the programs. They handle the sign-ups, the admin, hiring the instructors, etc. They looked at their expenses, and they'd like to increase the $2,500 to $6,500. They, based on the admin for their rec director, the printing costs, for the catalog. Those are sort of the main things. Park and Rec discussed this, and we like a payment based on usage, okay? We have about 400 residents, 400 participants a year in these programs. So we make up about 10% of the participants in the Heartland programs. Their expenses, they detailed their expenses, and they make sense. The one thing they didn't really factor in was the amount of money they make on a residence, which is another roughly $2,500. So I would tend to subtract that out of what we, of what they, could justify as expenses. Which would, and we've suggested that they don't print the catalog 3 times a year. Our share of that, according to them, is about $1,200. The whole thing costs about $22,000 to print catalog. I've suggested they do a postcard with a URL and a QR code, and once residents are used to that, you could probably do that once a year and get just as much participation. So they're open to that. At Park and Rec, we discussed fee based on participation, where at the end of the year, we would pay Heartland $10 per participant, which would come up to probably this past year about a little under $4,000. So it gives them an increase in the payment from Delafield, but I think is a little more realistic and based on our usage. If we use it less, if they don't have classes that interest our residents and we use it less, then we pay less. If we use it more, we pay more. And they get the fish hatchery use now. I've also offered as a suggestion the disc golf course and the volleyball courts that they've expressed interest in using. That they could use that. It wouldn't add any cost to the city. It would be a nice benefit for them. One thing that I noticed after we had our discussion with Heartland, additional costs not normally incurred by the city, Delafield, may be charged upon mutual agreement of the parties. We do have some cleaning costs associated with the fish hatchery due to their usage. So that is part of the agreement. If we don't modify the agreement, I assume we could bill them for that, which is about a once-a-week cleaning, depending on what the other use is. Typically, our use of the fish hatchery is weekends, right? You get parties and weddings and such. Heartland uses the fish hatchery during the week, on average twice a week. So we do need to do a cleaning prior to the weekend, and we do one after the weekend. So some of that could be attributed to Heartland's use. It's a nice agreement. We don't have to hire a Park and Rec director. It would be a lot more expensive if we were doing that. On the other hand, our residents could participate in these programs anyway. They would just pay the full fee. And they wouldn't get priority registration, which we also get now. So if a class is sold out, Delafield and Heartland residents are the first in line. So what we're recommending is that we modify this agreement to make the payment $10 per participant payable to Heartland, rather than the flat fee that we have now.
Are they, they're aware that this is the modification that the city's considering?
Yeah.
We're not springing it on them, that,
No, we've had this discussion with them. They were going to, it was on their agenda for last week, but they had a full agenda and didn't
Sure.
get to it. So they will be addressing this next week at their meeting.
okay. And I like the idea of the postcard with QR code. That makes sense, you know.
Saves them some costs, and we'll say we're not paying for printing costs.
Right. I mean, everything in our life is on this thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
They were concerned, a lot of seniors are in these classes, they were concerned.
even
but-
seniors, you don't raise your hand. You're not a senior.
I'm a senior. I told them, I said, I'm a senior citizen, and I use the computer at work daily for 30 years. Even my 90-year-old parents.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
I think we're past that. That used to be the case, right? But
Right.
even today, 80-year-olds were using
Absolutely.
computers daily when they were.
Absolutely. They're all using their smartphones.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, great.
And they're open to that. I think they're still discussing how to replace the catalog and what to do about it, but they realize it's time.
Yeah, I mean, what did you say, 22,000 in printing annually? That's,
Yeah, for 3 mailings.
right, as opposed to a QR code that you can, and go. Yeah. Do you have a motion that you're,
I move to modify the recreation agreement between Heartland and Delafield to Section 4. Annually, the village will invoice the city for a sum of $10 per Delafield participant.
I'll second.
So there is an existing agreement. Do we have to rewrite that agreement first, knowing that this is what we want to do, or?
And the other question is it appropriate for the city to take action when we're waiting for Heartland's feedback on our proposal? And the other question I wanted to ask too is there any concern that if the city's participation doubles and all of a sudden our payment to Heartland doubles without costs really going up for Heartland?
To answer your second question, my understanding is that Heartland is aware and agreeable to the per citizen cost. And so our acting in advance of that is appropriate? Or maybe it isn't.
We've discussed it with their rec director and village manager. We have not had their board approval. They have not
Okay.
got it in front of their board yet. But they did ask, when I presented this to them, they asked, is this your park and rec recommendation, or is this an officially approved by the council? I said, no, it's not approved by the council yet, but I think I can sell this. So I think they hesitate to accept an offer that's not official.
Sure.
If it's just me thinking, yeah, Park and Rec likes this, council hasn't approved it, I think it'd be difficult for them to have their board approve it, since it's our offer.
Sure.
Their offer was the $6,500 flat payment. That was their official offer from their village board. And I guess I'm not considering that at this point.
And then to your third point, Tom, if participation doubles from 400 to 800, we'd be paying $8,000 instead of 6,500, right? Maybe that's not a bad problem to have. You double people are enjoying this program. Whatever.
My bigger concern though is, well, I was gonna say that if participation goes up, the costs don't necessarily go up for Heartland unless it means providing more instructors and more classes. But if it's just filling the classes, then there wouldn't be any additional cost.
Would it be prudent to put a term on it, on the agreement?
What do you mean by a term? So the way it's written.
5 years.
The way it's written right now is, I think that either party can get out of it like every year or every 2 years?
Every year, yeah.
Okay, so there's a term already.
And it doesn't expire till 26? The current one?
My recollection is that the current one was in 2020, 2020. And it was, the initial term was 2 years, and then after that, anybody could get out in any given year by notifying the other by September 1st, I think.
Yeah, and I think the rest of the wording in here does make sense. Obviously, the dates would change, but it's an annual, with prior notice, either party can renegotiate annually.
Okay.
You know, I
Just
think it
throw-
would be nice to lock it in for a couple of years rather than having this discussion again.
Yeah.
If the programs are that good that our participation doubles, that's good. I mean, this per participant payment also gives some incentive to them to
Yeah.
design programs that we like.
Right.
Then one other thing, Mark, wasn't there a condition of our proposal that we would allow them to use additional facilities at no cost?
This doesn't, this says city facilities, it doesn't specifically designate which facility. It says designated areas in city buildings and parks for programming at no charge. Currently, it's only the fish hatchery. They've asked for the volleyball courts as well. And,
I would like to bring up the fact that we do have usage of the volleyball courts during the summer. I think Revere's uses them. There may be a couple of others, and we do get rental fees for that. So something to consider.
And that would probably be something that needs to be modified here. I told them disc golf course and volleyball courts subject to any existing usage, reservations, any existing uses like the Gulf League and if there's volleyball leagues. The agreement right now says the recreation programming will have priority over other uses except City of Delafield functions. So we probably want to modify that as well.
One option might be to modify the motion to include the updating of the current agreement, contingent on approval by both Park and Rec and the Village of Heartland.
We could revise this and bring the actual revised document back for discussion
Okay.
about that. Because I think there's a couple of other things that we would want to modify, but nothing too significant, really. The agreement is fairly simple and makes sense. It's just a matter of how much do we want to give them.
Do you think, Mark, you might go to their village meeting if necessary, just to explain what we talked about here tonight?
Yeah, I would definitely go to, to hear what they were saying, and I'll make an offer to present to them if they want it. Yeah, it'd be great.
So
Okay,
now I'm
so I
trying to
guess-
decide what to do with my motion and the second. Do we want to vote on it or
Are we
withdraw?
able to withdraw?
or-
I'll withdraw my second, if I'm able.
Until it's voted on, I can withdraw my motion. I'll withdraw my motion.
Just
And we're-
to
No action.
further clarify, the
I'll
items
have
that we
discussion with
discussed.
them so they know that
Right.
we're open to, to revising the agreement here and have,
Since Matt did most of the speaking, are the rest of you head nodding that this sounds like something you're all good with? Okay.
Yep, we're all fine.
Yeah, I'd like,
question.
I guess I don't. I might,
Sure.
I may ask you some questions later, just when I have it sorted out.
All right, we ready to move on,
All right.
everybody? Okay.
I'll plan to bring this back next month.
All right, we'll move on to E, Public Works. Mr. Grimmer.
I was unable to attend the last DPW for Public Works meeting?
There was no meeting, there was no quorum.
Oh, okay. Well, apologies for not being able to attend. I was,
Waiting.
had my work extended into the evening.
When I talked to you at that time, I expected a quorum, but one of the people expected wasn't there.
Okay. Okay. No meeting, no report.
There you go. Okay, F, Delahart Commission, Ms. Stryker's not here. Refer you to any minutes that were published. Police Commission, Ms. Valdi.
No meeting, no report.
No meeting, no report. H, Library Board, Ms. Henry.
Hi there. Yeah, we had a meeting and we are continuing to go through our bylaws and make some proposed updates. And once that's complete, then that will be reviewed and voted on as a whole. I did want to announce or to let everybody know that on October 29th is a fundraiser at Texas Roadhouse. And I just lost it. Why did it do that? Believe it's, you'll have to look up. I just lost it. But on the 29th at Texas Roadhouse is a fundraiser. So if you want to get food, and they are going to be donating, I believe it's 10% of anything that people say that they're there for the library. They'll be donating to the library. So go get yourself some food there. So.
Sounds good. All right, we will move on to Zoning Board of Appeals, Ms. Valdi.
They're coming, but we haven't had a meeting yet.
Okay. J, Promotion and Tourism Commission.
No quorum, no meeting, no report.
Okay. Lake Country Fire and Rescue Commission, I'll refer you to any minutes. Lake Country Fire and Rescue Board, Mr. Grimmer.
We had a meeting on Wednesday, the 11th. I'll just bring out one highlight of that meeting, the fiscal 2022 audit, which we do, obviously the year after remains unapproved. It remains unapproved because the city wants to ensure that the funds, the assigned funds that were used in 2023, and the city considered that a loan, essentially, that those funds remain assigned, or the city retains an expectation of repayment on those funds. We continue to take a look at that, and we'll come up with an action item at our next Lake Country Fire and Rescue meeting. But this is the money, this is the fund balance that was used along with the capital budget to fund the 2023 operating budget, heretofore known as, or previously known as, the Village of Conomowoc Lake Plan, the VOL plan. The city expressed at a November 2022 Lake Country Fire and Rescue Board that the city considers this a loan, that $250,000 was assigned to IMA3, the original owners. The city continues to consider it a loan, and we just want to solidify that position prior to that audit being approved. Next meeting is early November. Questions on that?
Okay, we'll move on. Deer Management Committee.
We have not had a meeting since our last council meeting. The next meeting is tomorrow night. And the Deer Management Committee sent out a notice to Molly, I believe it was the Waukesha Freeman, that they're going to publish for us to advertise our hunter registration program and everything, so we can get more participation there.
Sounds good. Great, appreciate the update. Okay, we'll move on to 8, unfinished business. Discussion and possible action regarding approval of ordinance number 821, an ordinance to repeal and recreate section 2-165 of the Delafield Municipal Code to amend the City of Delafield polling locations. Molly?
So at the previous meeting, we had a thorough report from the chiefs regarding the benefits of relocating the polling location to City Hall. The Common Council had given the go-ahead for us to move forward with that process. The biggest step in the process was for me to go out and make sure that we have the appropriate accessibility requirements. I did complete that accessibility assessment. I forwarded it to the Wisconsin Elections Commission, and they did give their approval of that assessment. So then the only other step we really have in the formal process is to approve this ordinance, and then once that's approved, I can go ahead and change all of the information in the Wisconsin Elections Commission system. We can start blasting everything out there and letting everybody know what's coming. So any questions about, I included the email from the Wisconsin Elections Commission in the packet. Were there any questions or concerns about the accessibility or anything, or?
No, I'm thrilled. I have one question. When will there be the first voting then at City Hall?
So if there is a primary in February, it will be in February, so.
One of the questions that came up, like, when we were at the library meeting was just how the entrance and exit, like, where would people be coming in and out? Would they be coming in and out of the same door?
So.
Or do we know
as
that
when-
yet?
Well, when I was working through the accessibility measurements, I was kind of also trying to work through the traffic flow and what would be the best way to work through things. So I imagine that the majority of people are going to be utilizing this parking lot because there's the most parking and it's directly attached to the building. So I would imagine one door, the door that is the accessible door, will kind of be cordoned off as the entrance for voting. So the right side door. The left side door, then we would have be an entrance for the library, and we'll try to direct people, I think, to exit out this way, and they can walk around the back of the building and still have that accessibility. If they need to go out this way, they can do that too. So we're still kind of working through the semantics of the situation, but the plan is to have a door that we can direct all that library traffic into so that there's not competing entryways.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 821.
Second.
Oh, who had the second? Price?
All right, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Okay, move on to number 9, mayor's report. No mayor's report. 10A, new business. Discussion and possible action regarding ordinance number 822, an ordinance repealing and recreating section 18-1A and creating section 18-1C of the municipal code relating to Lake Country Fire and Rescue and allowing an annual fire protection and emergency medical service fee. Mr. Hafner.
Yeah, so adoption of the fee that was passed by referendum is a two-step process. Before you today is the ordinance that gets adopted into the municipal code that allows for the city to have a fire and EMS fee. And then at the next meeting, there will be the specific resolution that identifies the fee amount and the methodology for assigning number of emergency service units to each parcel of property within the city. I just want to real quickly address some comments during citizens' comments today about what the fee will be. Clearly, the direction from the council is to levy the full $450 fee, which was the not to exceed amount from the referendum. And really, the quality checking of the document is not about the fee itself, but more about making sure that all the properties that should be included on the list are there. Making sure that there's no tax key numbers that don't exist, that type of thing. We can do an automated check to make sure that there's no properties that have improvement values that don't have a fee assigned to it, and those types of checks and balances before we finalize that list and send it to the county.
One quick follow-up on that is Is it, you were talking about the city staff doing this follow-up check, but would it make sense, or does the original counting of the properties come from the fire department? I think it's a good question. I don't know if anybody can answer that.
Yeah, so back about a year ago, we went through a few months where the fire chief is actually the one that developed the list, not only for the city of Delafield, but actually for all 7 of the municipal partners at the time when he was suggesting that a fee might be a good way to go. Myself and our finance officer in January, when it became clear that the city was going in the direction of the fee, we did a quality check on that time and corrected several errors and whatnot that we found in the list. One of the most significant things at that time were condominiums were double counted at the time inadvertently. They had been counted both as part of the commercial count and also part of the residential count. So we made that correction. The number of ESEs declined by a couple hundred, if I remember right. But again, we want to do one final quality check. There are some members of our partner municipalities that have sent a communication to the council indicating that they've identified some errors in our count, and so I've asked them to provide what they've found, and then we can look into those, and then we'll go from there. Yep.
I'll move to approve ordinance 822.
I'll second.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none.
Are we considering any of the suggestions as to other taxable entities, vacant property, properties under construction, that sort of thing?
So it would be up to the council to decide. That doesn't need to be decided tonight. That's not part of the ordinance. That would be part of the resolution. But if the council is going to make changes, we can't wait until November 6th to make those changes. We would have to call for special council meetings to make those decisions in the next week or two. Probably by the end of next week, I would say we would need to be there. The concern is the suggested changes were things that conflict with what the council had decided in January and would conflict with what staff had given out as far as public information in the months leading up to the referendum. I'd say one of the most frequent questions I received during the public education process is how are vacant properties going to be handled? From the get-go, from even when the chief made the list originally, the intention was that vacant properties would not receive a fee. So that would be a significant change. The other ones are converting hotels from square footage to number of rooms. That would also be a significant change that would conflict with what we've discussed in the past. And then the last one they had was saying that townhouse apartments are not apartments, they're more like condominiums. When we didn't make that distinction when we created the methodology, we just said apartments will be handled as half of an ESE per unit, and we didn't make the distinction that townhouse apartments would be charged more like condos would be. So all good points for debate, but it seems like we're at the 11th hour. It seems like this is conflicting with what we told our residents so that they could be informed to vote on the referendum, and that perhaps these would be more appropriate to consider as far as changes going forward after this initial year.
Just like any other code or ordinance, we always have the opportunity to change it where we have time to do it, and we can do it in the proper process and manner, make the citizens aware of what changes we'd be considering, and give them time to have input. Under this scenario, if we were to do that, we'd be rifling it really fast and not being transparent and giving an opportunity for input, in my opinion.
The only one that took me by surprise was the duplexes. I thought we did talk about that, and was that decided that it would only be one, or was?
Nope.
That one I thought we had decided was going to be two.
Yeah, duplexes are two, and I responded to this letter saying, please let us know the duplexes that you're referring to, that we only counted as one, and we definitely want to change that and get that corrected.
Okay, that was the only one that I was like, that's weird. That's not what I remembered.
I have a question about construction sites. With all the construction going on, are they assessed? Because there's vacant land, like, not necessarily vacant, but somebody has a wooded lot, an extra parcel. That's different to me than something under construction. Is that counted in the fire fee, or what happens with that?
You know, that's one where I don't think we've had any discussion. It wasn't part of the public education. It would be open to interpretation. Typically, fees begin being assessed upon occupancy, but I can understand the argument that there's risk of an incident during construction. And that would be one that if the city wanted to entertain, I think would be reasonable. I don't think that would be conflicting with anything that we've said previously. But again, if we want to do that, we should have a special council meeting this week or very early next week to give that direction to staff.
And keep in perspective the number that might be in a typical year, right? And you're going to get it. It's just, do you get it 12 months earlier or not? Yeah.
Tommy, if we wanted to talk about that, could we do it at our budget hearing next week? We're meeting that day anyway, this would be just one discussion.
Yeah, we could have that as an agenda item on what's normally reserved as budget-only discussion, but, you know, special circumstance, we could do that.
Seeing it's only one item, I'd recommend that we do that as long as we have a discussion. Seems to be kind of going that way, rather than have another meeting for one item.
It will be on that agenda then.
Okay.
Do we want to limit that just to whether we charge at building permit or occupancy, or do we want to leave it open-ended to all these suggested changes, discussion of?
I don't think there's
We
any
think we
harm
need
in
all of
leaving it open-ended.
Okay.
You?
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Will do.
Okay. Did we get a motion?
Yeah.
And
We
a
have
second?
Grimmer and Price on the motion and second to pass
Okay.
the ordinance.
All right, is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Okay, we'll move on to B, approval of the vouchers.
I move to approve the vouchers for October 4th through October 17th.
Second.
2023.
Great, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Okay, on to number 11, report of city officials. City Administrator, 1, update regarding Mayor McAleer Memorial.
Yeah, things are progressing real nicely. We got over $3,000 in donations. The plaque has been printed, and it turned out very nice. It has been mounted by Helco Stone to a nice boulder. That boulder was picked up by Public Works today. It'll be put in place tomorrow. It is going to be covered temporarily, and I know that Tim Eicher and Linda Holton are working on putting together a small ceremony for this coming Sunday is I think what they're shooting for, which is the day before Mayor Ed's passing last year.
All right, then we'll move on to 11A2, budget meeting reminders. Budget workshop is Tuesday, October 24th at 6 p.m. in the Common Council chambers. Budget public hearing is Monday, November 6th, 7 PM in the Common Council chambers. And budget approval, Monday, November 20th, 7 PM in the Common Council chambers. All right, Molly.
Just real quick, 2 follow-up comments on that. Just really highlighting that the budget workshop is going to be in this room. In the past, we've had it over at the Public Safety Building, so we'll change the location there. And then just letting you know that the budgets will be out by the end of this week.
Okay, Molly, anything for the city clerk?
I just wanted to touch on the email that was sent out regarding the second agenda that I posted and the online format. I'm interested in some feedback. That is a module that's with our current website that I didn't realize that we had until I started kind of looking into new websites. It has a workflow that allows people to submit things externally and for it to kind of move forward. So before I get too deep into it, I wanted the feedback from the people that are using it. So if you have any concerns, suggestions, or anything as it relates to that online agenda, I am here for that feedback, please. Otherwise, don't have any additional report this evening.
I don't know, just lost the lights. I didn't go far enough. Mike, could you walk in the corner for us, please?
There we go.
Like if I just turn them on and off enough times, maybe we can.
Can you walk in that corner, please? There you go, thank you. There's nobody here but Mary. Yes, maybe this isn't the time, but I don't really understand what that does, to be honest with you. I mean, to me, I see 2 links. I see one has a packet, one has just the agenda. Is there more to that? Because I can't tell by when I download it.
Yeah, so if you go to the online agenda only, it opens up into like an agenda that lives on the website. And then all of the links are held kind of within the agenda instead of it being a individual packet. So I think we've gotten used to the Adobe kind of packet with the bookmarks, but this kind of automatically it has the, like the agent change, but then right on below it, as you're kind of going through the agenda, you can click on the link and then it launches that information. So it's not that different from what we have now as far as, we're providing the same information. It's just in a little bit different format.
So Molly, instead of filtering through 300 pages of an agenda, I would be able to click a link to what I wanted and get the developer's agreement for St. John's, boom, it's there, instead of having to filter through.
Which is the same thing you can do on the left-hand side.
True.
Of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just
And
kind
you
of.
don't download the whole packet to your hard drive. You're only accessing.
Correct.
You're not saving.
Correct. It can choose to either live in, the HTML format, or you can choose to download the whole packet.
Is it easier for staff? Is it cost savings, labor, ease of use, one over the other?
I'm working through that. It was a little bit more difficult this time because I put together 2 agendas. But there is some real, I got kind of excited because there's real slick stuff. Like it does create an e-packet. Hindsight, it looks like it uses some kind of predetermined bookmarks that I would have to figure out how to remove when it downloads the packet. Like the MOU for Badger Books had like 20 or 30 bookmarks, so that all popped up when I had already removed that from the Adobe one. I always kind of check those. But I don't know, I think the workflow option would help, like for example, in the Park and Rec situation, that could move forward from the Park and Rec, but that's kind of a whole process that, we'd have to determine if it was worthwhile. But I like it. I thought it was kind of cool. I had a little bit of fun with it. I think the benefit for sure to me is getting that agenda and then seeing the item that you're looking at and being able to click the link right there, as opposed to, those people who maybe don't know that there are bookmarks in it. I think when people launch it on the website, you have to click. If you don't use an external browser, an Adobe browser, you don't necessarily see that it launches with all of those bookmarks. You have to be a little bit more aware of the navigation of it. We put them in, obviously, because we want people to have that convenience, but I'm not sure everybody knows it's there. So,
All right. Sounds like a work in progress.
work in progress. Feedback for those that are using it.
Okay, refer you to anything from the city treasurer. Council requests for future agenda items. Any council requests? If you don't have one tonight,
Park and Rec agreement with Heartland.
if you don't have any tonight, reach out before the next meeting and we'll get it on there. Okay, 12, I'll refer you to any correspondence. Seeing no further business, we are